All right, AMG Hobby Talk number 39. This is a very special edition because I'm going to have to start taking attendance in these episodes because we have been abandoned, Steve. We have been abandoned by the others. You know, Blair's off gallivanting, who knows where. Sherry might be looking for Blair. We don't even know what's going on. But nonetheless, it is myself and Steve, the Collector Scallops Collective People. Steve, how are you?
I'm confused. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. I think in upcoming episodes, we might just have to get the old AI going and have little, I don't know what you call them, but an AI Blair and Sherry to do these episodes.
Yeah, I'll get my best animators on this. We'll make it happen. We'll figure out some avatars. We'll make it happen. So what I'm going to do is we've got a couple of things we're going to talk about, and it is the summertime, so certain things have slowed down. However, there are still some things going on. We've actually got some fun cards to showcase for you. So we've got a nice little showcase section here that we're going to do. But we'll talk about a couple of things in between around it. So it'll be a more well-rounded episode, but we'll still highlight a couple of things. We got some nice comments from the last episode, so I'll touch on all that as well. In the meantime, while I'm doing all that, if you're watching the YouTube version of it or the video version of it, I've scrolled across the bottom the contact points. I'll just repeat again as I always do. Comments are always welcome on the episodes. Feel free to do that. If it is more urgent, use the contact points. You got the website there that has all the different contacts. We show it at the end of the episode in a little card there at the end as well. But you can also go to the Instagram there. So those are ways of contacting the store so you get an answer a little quicker. Otherwise, if you leave a comment, usually we'll address it in the next episode. So if it's not time sensitive, you can go that route. But if you want an answer a little quicker, use the contact points available. So first, I want to actually touch on a couple of comments from last episode. So we actually had a nice little push there, and we got over the 300 subscribers. That was one of the goals that we wanted to do. So now we'll start working our way up. So that was great. We actually got a really good response in the last episode. So I think people really appreciated the insight on kind of being vigilant and some things that we thought about there. So I'll quickly touch on Sanderson DeOr, kind of friend of the channel as well. He had some more comments here. This theft left me disgusted, talking about the Dallas card show. You guys had some really good points on how to stay vigilant, even if it may cost you another sale after close or having to tell someone, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. It's worth doing to protect yourself. So that's kind of addressing the idea that, hey, even though it's tear down, the temptation is to try to get one or two more sales, but you still want to keep an eye on your stuff. You don't want to lose sight of what's going on because you let it slip just a little bit. And right now, the items haven't been found. So that's kind of an issue. I did it on the podcast on my channel, but I'll do it here as well, just for everybody's reference in case they want to read it. Sports Collectors Daily did an article last week, right around the same time we were doing the episodes. And in the article, they made reference to a little bit more about it, gave a little more background. But one of the things they talked about, which I had referenced in my other podcast, was one of the possibilities, and hopefully, because it'll be really hard to detect otherwise, one of the possibilities is the idea of the black market for some of these cards, because some of them are very identifiable. And the reality is if they went into an auction block, people would notice. If they went into a store of somebody that is known or somebody that knows about a lot of this material, you suddenly see a Venezuelan Topps card in a PSA 7 or in a 7 equivalent, that's going to stand off the page because that's not normal. That's very uncommon. So suddenly alarm bells would go off. But if it goes into a black market where the buyer doesn't care and they just crack it out of whatever slab and it disappears into a collection, then it would completely vanish. It'd be basically, traceless at that point. PSA and I believe SGC and the others have already decertified the serial numbers. So if somebody tries to do something with those and scans the serial number, they will notice it's decertified, which will obviously set off alarm bells. So we'll have to see as we're going into it, and we haven't heard anything update-wise in terms of things being found. We'll have to see what happens with it. But yeah, the staying vigilant is true, especially now coming up. Dallas is around the corner. The National is around the corner. So the being vigilant is going to become even more important. Also, the fact that the dealer badges are going to be toned down. They've limited the number of dealer badges, means some dealers with big booths aren't going to have as many, potential eyeballs to be able to monitor their stuff. So they're probably going to be a lot more cautious, especially if they have big inventory.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I enjoyed that discussion last week because, while we were talking back and forth, I think we made 2 or 3 changes to how AMG is going to do things moving forward. So I guess that's part of the reason we, do this podcast is, we can learn things as well. So, after we went offline there, we 100% decided, just like when we decided, when we've made that decision to close, we're closed. I think, protecting our inventory is more important than, having that one last sale or, just definitely it was an eye opener. And again, hopefully a lot of this stuff's recovered, but, I guess these guys know what they're doing too. They'd be fools to try to sell some of those cards now. So it'll kind of be a cat and mouse game, and the world's kind of waiting for one of those cards to surface, and then they'll take it from there.
Absolutely. And when something like that is topical, we'll definitely try to touch on it. So if there are things that I think some of you would like to know, it's what we've encouraged. What we're really trying to do. My vision for what we've done this and what I've worked on with Sherry on this is that it's a card shop. You guys run a card shop. You also run a cards, you run a card show, but then you've also got your trade nights. So it's just one sliver of the part of the hobby, so people can see one vantage point and see how you do it and see the challenges that you encounter. Because what you're encountering challenge-wise is going to be something on somebody over on the West Coast, other side of the country may encounter something different. But there are still enough similarities where it's like, hey, if you want a little insight, this is what it looks like when you're running these shops every day, and things you got to think about, and you learn along the way. There's always something.
And theft is something that happens in any business. So it's a shame you have to, but you kind of prepare for, those things along the way. And we even had a year or so ago, someone was brazen enough to steal a Mario Lemieux PSA 9 rookie card from us. But they went and tried to sell it within the next 48 hours. And we found the card and ended up having a nice conversation with this person. Needless to say, they won't be coming into our store anymore. But it was one of those that they frequented the store, and an opportunity presented itself, and they took it. And actually, I knew this person going back to school, and I was shocked, but not surprised. And like I said, you think you know someone, but we were able to retrieve that card and get on with our lives. And it's a daily issue in any business.
Absolutely. Now, another comment here from Sean, frequent commenter as well. So thank you, Sean. This one is one that we can touch on briefly, but feel free to say as much or as little as you want, but I'll quickly touch on it. Are there more benefits for an authorized internet dealer? So Sherry mentioned the difference between being an upper deck dealer, having a certain, I guess, is it a license? I don't know what's considered. I guess I'll say license, but I don't think that's the right term for this. So anyway, an authorized internet dealer compared to the level. So there's the type where Upper Deck has it. You can get the product in the store. And then there's the authorized internet dealer, which means you can sell the product online, but it also means you can show the prices online. So there is a difference there. Other than that, is there any other major difference between kind of the two versions of it?
That would probably be more of a Sherry question, but obviously if you can sell stuff online, you would think you could move more product. So considering we can't do that online, it's impressive what we are able to move, not having that resource. Obviously we would love to be able to do that. So, we've always been working on that. Hopefully that day will come. Also opens you up to a whole new world, whole new clientele, which might translate not just into, selling the product online, but then you move to singles and hopefully form other business relationships along the way as well. So definitely it would be beneficial for us to have. And honestly, I think we deserve it. So we'll see what happens in the future.
That sounds good. So Sean, also one thing I'll add also from my experience with a few other dealers that I am also friendly with is that because they are two separate things, there are a lot of places that have one and not the other. It is possible to get both, but it's one of those things where if you have the full spectrum available to you, obviously to Steve's point, it gives you more options. But I believe they're a little bit more restricted with the authorized internet dealer. There's very specific terms and conditions with it, and they don't just hand it out. It's one of those things, just because you ask doesn't mean you get it. But if you can get it, it adds another, as Steve said, it adds another thing that you can do. And it also means, frankly, that you on your website, you can put the prices. So when a product comes in, you can say, this is our price. And then you can sell it on the internet, for whatever price. And that allows you to be on the marketplace and be competitive and be part of it.
And we're probably, I would say one of the top as far as allotments received, if definitely in Atlantic Canada, if not the country. And, we don't have that license. So that just shows how hard it is to actually get it. And we've been in business for a long time. So we're trying. Hopefully that day will come, but it is what it is. We don't make those decisions.
Sounds good. Gotham Collections here said, great video. Love the Young Guns section, which is what we showed on that image last week. Just need a Tim Stutzla section now. So, he always promoting the Tim Stutzla. So appreciate that. And concludes with Go Sense. So thank you, Gotham, as always, for a comment. And then Kung Fury 69 says, in a small time chatting with Sherry at the Toronto Expo in the spring, I loved your vibe. Good to hear. I've been watching these for the last year. Definitely make a trip down the Maritimes to visit AMG along with the show in the fall. So good to hear. I appreciate you checking it out. And I also see that you've been subscribed for a little bit as well. So we appreciate you leaving the comments. So thank you, everybody who left some comments. And then also thank you to everybody who subscribed newly from that episode. As I said, got us over the hump of the 300. And now we'll start working our way to the next plateau. So that's great for the commentary. Thank you for everybody for participating in that. As I mentioned also earlier in the conversation, I will include a link to that article that I mentioned. So it's Sports Collectors Daily, and they give a little bit more insight on the Dallas show thing, talk about the black market thing a little bit. Again, we have no idea what's going to happen with those, but I think it's interesting, and it's good for people to know, because I think I was having a conversation offline with my buddies, and I think some folks didn't realize there was a black market. There's a black market for everything. Anytime anything can be sold, there's always a black market. But I just don't think we think about it. For Sports Cards, we just don't give it a second thought. But stuff like that is out there. So real quick, before I showcase some of the cards. So Steve, as we've talked about in the past several weeks, the summertime's quieter. So there's less products coming out. Things are moving a little bit slower. I'm going to share a product that Upper Deck has actually shown some pictures of, so we can talk about that for a minute. But real quick, we were talking about before we hit record that even though it's a little quieter, quote unquote, that doesn't mean you're not doing things related to picking up cards, collections, and also working on the store. So can you give us a little insight into what you guys have been working on?
Yeah, so shop-wise, this might actually be the busiest we've ever been. We kind of took on 3 projects at once. We're kind of rearranging the store. We purchased a massive collection with a lot of wax, vintage wax, junk wax, and we bought 3 or 4 significant collections as well. So we're actually a little behind, and we're trying to catch up. So it's worked out well that, again, the summer, summer's going on, so the store's a touch quieter, but it's probably the largest selection of singles we've ever had. So when people close their cottages up for the summer and start coming back into the card store again, they'll be pleasantly surprised with all the new product we have in here. And I think we'll touch on one of the allotments, or I guess collections I purchased recently. That's it was kind of insane actually when I got it. So and it's not even necessarily normally something I would buy, but the volume of it, I couldn't not purchase it, because again, I was thinking of all the all the people this would benefit.
Wow, you are a collector of the people. So,
I am.
The people must be appeased. So very important. So yes, we'll definitely touch on that. So let me show you guys something a little bit. Like I said, when we have a little bit of a chance to do a little variety, I want to show you a couple different things, because it gives you different angles and different insights. So let me share this with you. This is actually from Upper Deck's Facebook page, so I can share the link in the description for you. But I want to show it to Steve and get kind of his first thoughts and first impressions. So Upper Deck has actually shared some images of a new Allure coming up here. This is going to be 23-24 Allure, which is going to include Connor Bedard. So we're starting off with this. And when we get the official date and we know the cards are coming and everything, we'll do a more comprehensive preview. These are images they're sharing, though. So we got the 16-bit Connor Bedard here.
That's kind of funky, actually. I like it.
Yeah, so that one is going to be, now these are going to be very tough, because the 16-bit and the 8-bit and stuff like that, those are very tougher pulls. This one I think is going to be kind of an interesting card, because it might be very popular. So I'm just going to share a couple of images with you, and we'll stop at a couple of them as we go along the way. But one key that I wanted to make note of, and again, when the real release date comes out and we know it's imminent and everything, we'll go into more detail. We'll go into more depth and do a little breakdown. But I do think it's important, with Upper Deck alternating between 22 product and 23 product and everything, even though the Bedard stuff is quieted down a little bit, part of that is because there just hasn't been anything new. The market has already had the chance kind of to absorb the other stuff. We got Extended, which has some cards in it for sure, but then this is going to be something else. This is going to be a chromium product, so this is going to give them somebody else. We haven't had O-Pee-Chee Platinum yet, so this is at least kind of covering that chromium portion of it. So you can hear Bar Down from Barkov. So I'm just going to skip through a couple of these, but I'll showcase a few of them. So this one I think might be a popular card if somebody ends up pulling it. So we got a autograph with a little bit of memorabilia here going on, and you're gonna have a lot of patterns, a lot of shine. If you like your shiny cards, Allure is definitely one that meets that criteria. This one's kind of interesting. We got a nice little color flow there of McDavid. This would be a very popular card as well, I would think, especially with the McDavid autograph. So 16-bit to Chuck, McKinnon here in one of the parallels. Now this one's kind of interesting. They're actually going to have a Stanley Cup card in the color flow, which is actually going to be, they do this once in a while. Stanley Cup cards are not super common. Like they've happened in the past. I mentioned that there was a 70-71. O-Pee-Chee had a Stanley Cup card. I think there was another one in the 60s where they did trophies. I think they had a Stanley Cup card. The Pro Set infamous hologram from the early 90s was another one. I think it's kind of neat, though, that the Stanley Cup has its own card in Allure this time around.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised they don't, put trophies in more issues, because at the end of the day, all the trophies issued in the NHL they're gorgeous. They really are attractive cards, and I think this will be a sought after one. I'd be interested to see if they make a numbered one or anything like that. But this is the first time I'm seeing these pictures, and they are very attractive cards. So I think this will do well when it comes out. I've always liked Allure. It just can be a hit or miss product depending on who's in it. So of course this will be the first time with Bedard's in it, so there'll be a little push, and the cards you featured are definitely attractive.
Yep. So good stuff. I thought I would share that with you since I noticed that Upper Deck had some images, and like I said, the Stanley Cup one stood out to me because I just thought, hey, that's kind of interesting. It's a little different. It's not the normal fare that you expect in a lot of these sets. So I think it will be interesting to see how it's received, because it is a little bit more of a once in a while they will invoke it. And I think that's actually smart, because if you don't put it in every set, then once in a blue moon when you do, it stands out a little bit more. And I think it's interesting that they're going to do it in this Chromium product. So I think that's going to be very interesting how it's received from folks. It's very cool. I wanted to share that. And like I said, I'll include a link in the description for you if you want to check out the images yourself. By the way, you could always check out on their Facebook. Facebook is good for it because they usually will create a little album for some of their newer products, and they'll showcase some of the cards in advance. So it gives you a chance to see some of the images. And usually those are not the mock-ups. As you can see, those are actually real looking cards on there. So it tends to be that you're usually getting a chance to see what the real cards look like, as opposed to the mock-ups that you usually get in a lot of the previews. So just a little tip for folks if they want to check it out. Okay, so I think we're making good time on this one. So let us talk a little bit about a couple of things that came in. So first, I'm going to showcase the Gretzkys, and then we'll do the Marchants. So let's do that first. So I want to show the image, and then you can give us a little background on what happened here and how these came into your possession.
Yeah, so these are just an example of one of the collections we picked up. So an abundance of Gretzky's here, and I think I'll just have a showcase with a bunch of Gretzky's in it, different price points. Also, too, the way I price them, which we explain to customers when they receive cards back, we try to explain to them like the difference between a strong 4 and a soft 4. So each one of these might have a different price on it, and they'll be able to hold the card. And maybe this 1.5 has a nicer eye appeal than the other one, and that might reflect a $50 or $100 price change sort of thing. Because a particular grade doesn't mean that the price is set in stone. And obviously, you can see sales sometimes. A card sells for $500 more than a card with the same grade. So when they have the cards in front of them to compare, they can see why, and again, learn a few things. The same grade on a card doesn't necessarily mean the same price. So it's kind of neat to have that abundance of Gretzky's available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in total, for folks who don't get a chance to see the image, what we've got showcase here is 12 different. I believe they're all O-Pee-Chee. Yes, there are 12 different O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookies in a variety of conditions, ranging from 1 up to a 4. And to Steve's point, the thing about vintage, and 79-80 qualifies, is that all the grades are a spectrum. A 1 can range from basically destroyed to actually reasonably aesthetically pleasing, but there's some specific flaw that knocked it down to a 1. So they're both considered ones in that both ends of that spectrum. But what kind of price point you would put on it is totally different. If one really looks really nice and the other one looks just, basically run over by a car several times, there's going to be a big difference in the appeal to a collector. And all the way up the chain in terms of the grades is going to be the same thing. Eye appeal. What is the eye appeal of the card relative to the grade? That's where you, as the collector, can potentially get yourself a nice deal, because you could get yourself a nicer looking copy. Maybe you got to pay a little bit of premium in some cases, but it means that aesthetically, you're looking at a card that aesthetically looks like it's several grades better, but you're getting it at that lower price. So there's a little bit of a balance there, especially for a lot of the vintage. So now we're going to talk some Brad Marchant here. You were able to acquire a collection. Now, fact check me, but I think you mentioned, I think the collection was almost like 500 cards and I think 100 autographs. So it was like pretty big numbers and a pretty big one. I'm starting off here with a UD Exclusives rookie of Marchant. Here it's in a PSA 8, but the Exclusives is numbered to 100. So that's a pretty nice card there to start off with.
Yeah, so I can't remember. I was out for the day or something like that. When I came back, there was a 3,200 count box sitting on my desk, and I believe Blair, who he used to work here. I don't know where he's been the last couple of weeks, but anyway, the guy named Blair, he said, yeah, a guy dropped these Marchant cards off, and he's interested in trading for a Bobby Orr rookie. And I just kind of rolled my eyes, and I'm like, well, one thing I've never done is trade a vintage card for a new card. It's just my thing. Obviously a Bobby Orr rookie and from 66, and then I'm seeing a bunch of modern Marchands. I was like, yeah, I'll politely pass. So then I lift the box up and I'm just starting to go through them. And I believe there was like 115 Marchant autographs. Yep. Anyway, the number approached 500 cards, and they were, whether they were autograph patches, variations. And the more I looked at it, and of course, Marchant being from here, I was like, I really want this. And so I tried to make him just a cash offer, because I did not want to let that Orr card go. And his name was Scott. I asked if I could mention him, and so I said, certainly. And super nice guy. And we went back and forth, and I did not want to let that Orr card go. I wanted to buy them, and I don't think it was about the money for him either. He wanted some older Bruins cards. So after humming and hawing, I was like, you know what? It's time to share Marchant with the world. So and the value was there. Like, I actually owed him money after, so I decided I would go against my what I believe in, and I traded a Bobby Orr rookie and a significant amount of cash for this Marchant collection. And I also think what I'm going to do is clear out an entire showcase and just, for a month or so, have a Brad Marchant showcase. And of course, being that he's from here, again, sharing with the customers and people that come into the store, they can have a look and enjoy these cards, and obviously pluck them as they desire. And like I said, instead of making one person happy, hopefully I can make several people happy by sharing this collection. So it was impressive. And then, Brad, the collector, stumbled across this box, and when I came back Monday, there was many cards missing from that box that Brad decided to add to his collection. So I know he's one player he collects, so he was happy, and his collection's quite thorough. So for him to find cards that he didn't have in his collection, that was cool. And like I said, it makes him happy. So happy Brad makes for an easy week in the shop at least.
Oh, I think that's fair. So it is quite extensive. We've got a couple of different images that I will share with everybody here, and I would recommend. We do the audio version of the podcast as well. You're more than welcome. We appreciate anybody who listens in that format, but you do miss out on some of the images because I can describe the cards to you, but there's only so much I can do. Now, in this case, I showed the exclusives. The second one is actually a trio from Trilogy, appropriate, but they are different. The signature pucks, but there's 3 variants here. And the difference is actually if you look at the background of each one of the pucks. You start off with the Boston Bruins one. That one is not numbered on the front that it shows, but then you've got one with a modified, more old school Bruins logo, and that one is numbered to 13, hand numbered to 13. And then you've got one with the NHL crest, the NHL logo itself on the puck, and that is number 2 of 3. So these are 3 variants of the same card, but 3 different types depending on the image on the puck in the background, and then an autograph and paint pen on top of it. So very good, interesting looking cards. Here, you've got from Upper Deck Black. These are the lettermen. And on this one, you've actually got the whole name spelled out. So Marchant, you've got every single one of the versions of it. Every single one of those is also autographed.
Yeah, that's impressive. It's all numbered out of 99. And I'm assuming, 2 of the 99 A's are no longer available. So, obviously you wouldn't be able to spell as many Marchand. So who knows how many of these are out there. But this one, I believe Brad might have claimed for himself. So not available, but pretty neat. That was part of the deal. I was like, I need that particular spelling of Marchand.
There you go. So I'm going to skip ahead a couple here. I want to get back to that big image at the end. But before we do, so here we've got ourselves 2 cards. So first we've got a Cup Foundations. So this is, I believe, number to 10 there. So a quad patch on this one. And I'm trying to take a look. I think this is just the patch version. I don't think it's the autograph version. By the way, quick aside, this one is the same rookie year as Jamie Benn. So I think they're both 9-10 if memory serves me. So I believe that's the case. Very nice cards for the most part. A quick critique from our friends at Upper Deck. This particular year of Cup Foundations, the autograph versions were actually very poorly designed because the autograph tends to be where the player is, and it almost Jamie Benn. And if this one was autographed, because I don't think this version is, you'd be autographing on a black jersey. And I've seen this with Modano. Modano has a card in this as well. And he's got a dark jersey, and the autograph is right on top of the player with the dark jersey. And I'm like, you can't see the autograph. you got to think ahead on that one and give a little space for the autograph to go. So I think somebody made a design mistake on this one. They're still cool looking cards though. Like the patches are actually still really cool. And this set of 4 patches is actually really nice. It's actually quality patches on this one. And the one above it is actually UD Premier. So we've got a duel with David Bax and Brad Marchant in Mega Patch. Had to make sure we did it. Hand number to 25. Again, 2 very nice patch pieces in the patch windows on this one. Moving on here. Then we've got the cup, and this is the gold variant. So we've got the patch version of it, but this is the gold version of the rookie from the cup. So we've got the parallel to that. And then Premier Gear out of 10, which covers a jersey patch, another patch piece, another jersey piece, and then the fight strap in the middle, numbered to 10. Again, really cool cards, very nice. And then here we've got a trio. So we've got from Clear Cut a black amber. So again, a nice paint pen on top of that. Aesthetically, a very pleasing card. So in contrast to the other one, this one is very well designed for an autograph. Good looking with the nice gold paint pen. We've got a nice Artifacts dual patch out of 9. And then we've got ourselves another mega patch with the chest logo. So this one, not as fancy. You could have gotten a little bit more of the chest logo in there, but it is nonetheless a very large memorabilia piece to go along with it, and another nice addition. So if you like the Boston Bruins and you like the patches, you're getting some nice pieces being shown off here. Yeah. Last one here is the big one, Steve. This one's a nice big stack of items. I can go over a couple of these, but anything in general you want to say here?
No, it was just kind of a sample of what's there, and like I said, I think it was 110 plus autographs. So it was just, like I said, when I was deciding, do I want to do this or not? Because honestly, I'm not even necessarily a huge Marchand fan, but just when you see that volume and the thought of trading one card for 500 cards, which will sell, it made the decision easier. So I just kind of took a little sample of what's there. And I mean, there's numbered cards, unnumbered. So I mean, prices, on these can range from, probably $15-20 for an auto, all the way up to some big cards. And even that exclusive of Marchand, I think there's only 7 graded higher than that. So, that's a great card to have as well for the Marchand collector.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I'll say is this one, as it pertains to it, it is a very expansive collection. We showed but a sampling of it. But even in the sampling, you got a chance to see that you had rookie year patches, real, high end. You had the variants, like I said, even for that one from the cup, that was the rookie year one. That's the number to 25. It's the gold. So this isn't the base version of it, which, by the way, obviously the cup, RPA is a big card on a lot of these guys, but this is the gold variant that sometimes people don't look for necessarily, but it's a much tougher piece to come by. The other one is, I think the patches, if you've got the really high end ones, are numbered to 99. So, and most of them are numbered higher than that, I think 249. So when you got the out of 25, that one's going to be a tougher one to come by. And the cup, a lot of that stuff is dried up. Yep. Some of it's out there, but a lot of it has dried up. The Premier gear, a lot of game use pieces, the Marchant fully spelled out, again, might not be available. So if you're curious what might be available, you might want to check in with the store. But a lot of other stuff is available. And there is a lot of these other items that are going to be there, and something you can ask about and check out if you happen to be in the store.
Yeah, and like I said, my plan is to devote an entire showcase, but we have been so busy, I haven't even touched them yet. But this week, towards the end of the week, I'm going to start pricing them. It's been a little difficult. I hate to say it, but I think I miss Blair because I haven't been able to spend as much time in my office pricing since Blair's away. So my intention will be to have a showcase of Marchant, hopefully towards the end of the week, if not early next week when Blair gets back. But yeah, other things too. We were trying to determine what else is going on in the shop. Sherry revamped our supply area, so we've got probably 7 to 10 new products that we haven't carried in the past. So she was working hard expanding our supply area, and really the past 10 days or so, there hasn't been enough hours in the day. So I've had no trouble sleeping at night because we've been busy. So I like staying busy, makes the day go by faster. And this is what I enjoy doing.
Very good. 100% agreed. So a couple of minutes before the store gets opened up. So I'm going to finish off real quick. We'll finish off one more thing. Thank you, Steve, for covering a lot of that. I will mention, since we're going to try to make more of an emphasis to it going forward. And maybe, like I said, we'll make more of a feature of it, but I do want to mention it really quick. I want to kind of remind everybody about the eBay store. We include the information in the description so you can check it out. There are weekly auctions Sunday to Sunday, so you can kind of check that out. And like I said, you can use the link in there to check out what's new. Right now, there's about 223 items as we speak at this moment. And I'll scroll through a little bit. I've shown a couple of these things in the past, and some of these are new things. So it kind of changes out. You got a banner year Connor Bedard there. You got Tage Thompson. You've got hockey. You've got some basketball. We talked about the PMG. That's here. Other items, you got a Justin Herbert here. So you got a mix. It's not just hockey. There are other things that get thrown in there. And like I said, every week, different items get thrown in. So it's Sunday to Sunday. You can check that out. So you can see basically what's in a buy it now, what's on offer. And also you can see what is actually available as far as, in the new auction. So you can check that out and see for yourself if anything catches your eye and if you'd like to make an offer on it or make a bid. So you've got that on there. So we wanted to make emphasis on that because that is something that will continue to rotate through. And then, as I said, in the next couple of weeks, we'll see the next episode will be still a regular episode. We'll try to make sure we'll wrangle a few of the others in. So, because that'll be our last episode before the national happens. And then we'll basically try to get a report from Sherry, basically, depending on how they end up doing, because obviously we'll have somebody on the ground. So we'll see how they do. We'll see how many wacky nightlife, it might be just wild and crazy over there, over at the National in Cleveland, the epicenter of partying in Cleveland, Steve. Cleveland. The jokes write themselves. They really do. I've been to Cleveland. It's all right. Like I've been to Cleveland. If you go around where the stadium is, it's actually pretty nice. It's not bad, but the jokes will be there. I can pretty much guarantee that. You're trying to resist saying something, Steve, and
I've been to Cleveland several times. I don't know. I've probably done 6 or so nationals there. It's a big venue. It's out by the airport, I believe. Not a whole lot going on right around that area.
That's the thing.
I know there's a Ferris wheel right in the middle of the.
They got rid of it. It's not there anymore.
What? They got rid of it? Oh, well,
yeah,
that's
the Ferris wheel's gone. The Ferris wheel's gone. Sorry.
Disgusted.
Yep. From what I understand, just to make a long story short, from what I understand, it'll be a more conventional setup. It is more of a rectangle as opposed to the Stevens Center, which is set up a little bit differently. It's a little bit more sprawling. It is going to be different. I think it'll be I think we will be watching to see how different this one feels than the last one. There are some factors playing against it a little bit. There are policy changes, there are dealer changes, there are some things related to that. But I still think it will be a big show. There still will be a lot of activity around it, but it is less convenient for the show goers who are doing things around, because in Chicago, the hotels are right there. You're right beside everything. So it is easier to go like from the convention center to the hotel, back and forth as many times as you need to. People can meet up in that way. With this one, you've got to basically have a car or have a mode of transportation to get to the other places. And the trade nights, I think they're going to actually have them in the building, because that was the only way to be able to do it in a convenient way, because otherwise you didn't have access to a proper facility. But they're also doing more trade nights, so that's going to spread it out a little bit. So that's where I think it's going to be a little interesting to see how that changes the dynamic. So just some things to think about, and we'll talk about it more in the upcoming episodes. So that's it for us. We actually managed to get to a regular episode, cover a lot of ground, so that's really good. So in this case, I don't have to intro too many other people, but thank you, Steve, Collector of the Scouts, Collector of the People. Appreciate you.
This is what I do.
There you go. Exactly. So all the information in the description, so you can check it out there. Use the contact points if you need to reach out to the store and everything. Even though it is summertime, people are still there, activity's still happening, but you can check it out. If there's something you're curious about, you can reach out and get some information that way. That's usually the best route, especially if there's product in the store and you want to find out if it's there. Check in and find out, because that's the best way to know. Otherwise, that'll be it for this time around. Like I said, we'll try to bring more of the gang back together. We'll see if we can figure out where Blair's gallivanting to. Who knows? No promises. I have no idea. We're going to figure it out. For this episode, we'll check it out. Next episode will be episode 40. So we'll be in a nice even number again. So for Steve and myself, we want to thank you for checking this one out, and we will catch you in the next one.